All right. Okay, well, listen, how about we go ahead and get started? So welcome, everybody, and thank you so much for joining us tonight for the Ask the Expert. I am Brooke Lang, and I serve as one of the affiliate liaisons for the National Aphasia Association. The National Aphasia Association is a nonprofit organization whose mission is to promote public awareness and understanding of aphasia, to promote research that aims to improve the lives of people with aphasia, and to provide support to all persons with aphasia and their care partners. In just a little bit, I'm going to be introducing tonight's experts. They will be talking about how technology and artificial intelligence, also known as AI, can make aphasia therapy easier to access and more personal, and how using AI can actually allow for increased independence when living with aphasia. So before these introductions, we're going to just cover a couple things that the NAA is doing for the upcoming National Aphasia Awareness Month in June. So we're creating a nationwide mosaic with your inspirational messages and your stories or pictures that show the world that aphasia awareness truly takes all of us working together, piece by piece. So this is open to individuals with aphasia, care partners, providers, and aphasia groups. And guys, there's still time to submit, so please consider contributing to this amazing project. The NAA has already received a bunch of pictures and logos that really show the commitment to aphasia awareness. So keep them coming. We can't wait to see this completed project. I think it's going to be really amazing. And then the second project is the Library Showcase project, which is something that we did last year, and it was quite a hit. So there are aphasia awareness and educational materials posted on the NAA's website for you to take to your neighborhood library, and you can create a display, or you can just share that information with a group at your library. Make sure to take pictures and send them our way so that we can highlight the awesome displays that you create. Okay, so in case you haven't joined us for any of the Ask the Experts in the past, I just want to share a couple quick housekeeping items for the webinar. Please write any questions that you might have throughout the talk in the Q&A section of your Zoom toolbar. And as you guys are already sort of doing, please feel free to say hello or add a comment in the chat section. We will try to answer as many of your questions about tonight's topic as we can. If we don't get to your question, or if you have an unrelated question about aphasia, please email the NAA at answers@aphasia.org. The other option is you can join us next Wednesday for our After the Expert conversational group. Now, for those of you who may not have heard of this, this is one of our newer conversation groups that we started this year. And it's an opportunity for us to come together and talk about the topics that take place each month during the Ask the Expert. So this month's meeting and what we talk about today will be discussed next week on Wednesday, May 14th at 12 p.m. Eastern time. So we hope to see a lot of you guys come back and join us and bring any questions or comments you might have about tonight's topic. One quick final reminder is that we are now offering one professional development hour towards your ASHA certification maintenance for any speech language pathologists that are attending tonight. You do need to attend the entire Ask the Expert webinar live. And at the end of tonight's talk, a certificate will be shared in the chat. Okay, so now it's my pleasure to introduce our two experts tonight, beginning with Dr. John Pierce, who is a speech pathologist and researcher at La Trobe University, Australia. He works to improve therapy for people with aphasia. And his research is about using technology and artificial intelligence to make aphasia therapy easier to access and more personal. He's created free online therapy tools used by people all over the world and in many different languages. Our second expert tonight is Bryn Bowles, an RN who is a stroke and brain injury survivor, advocate, and a passionate supporter of the aphasia community. So in 2019, while she was running in Anchorage, Alaska, Bryn suffered a ruptured brain aneurysm that resulted in paralysis, apraxia of speech, and aphasia. Her recovery is ongoing, and she remains committed to connecting with and encouraging others with aphasia. A 2016 graduate of the Eleanor Mann School of Nursing at the University of Arkansas, Bryn completed a critical care residency before moving to Alaska to work in the ICU at Providence, Alaska Medical Center. And this is where she earned her CCRN certification. Bryn now facilitates groups at Integrative Reconnective Aphasia Therapy. She serves as a communication partner to many individuals with aphasia. She participates in the NAA's Ambassador Program, and she co-leads the Technology and Supports for Aphasia group through the NAA. So let's get this talk started this evening with Dr. Pierce. I'm going to stop sharing and you can go ahead and share your PowerPoint.
Thanks so much, Brooke, for the introduction. And I'm really excited to be talking to you all today about a topic that I like talking about, and I think it's pretty interesting these days. So I am from the Centre for Aphasia Research at La Trobe University in Melbourne, Australia, right down here. Quite cold this morning. It doesn't snow here, but it's, pretty chilly. So I am a speech pathologist and a researcher, but I'm also quite a nerd. I like technology and computers, and that's very helpful these days for looking at technology and AI. So I'm not really talking today about specific ideas and tools for what you can do with AI. I'm going to let, Bryn's going to be talking a little bit about that. I'm going to zoom out and talk about how AI might change life with aphasia now or very soon. And I'm going to look at the opportunities, but also the challenges and some of the risks. So to know how much something is growing, you can look at how much money is going into it, and AI has absolutely exploded compared to 10 or so years ago. Last year, $150 billion was invested in AI, whereas it was only 5 in 2013. So this technology is growing very, very fast. It's much faster than computers took off in the 70s, 80s, 90s, much faster than the internet. It's very hard to keep up with how much things are progressing. And it's not just companies and investment. All of us are hearing more and more about AI. And this is how Google searches for AI have increased in the last few years very quickly. So let's just talk briefly about what is AI. Most people think of ChatGPT when we say AI, artificial intelligence, and that is one type of AI. For anyone who's never used it, it's a chatbot, a box like this you get, and you can almost ask it to do anything, and it will do it pretty well. So for an example, I just made something up. I said, please write a 4-line poem about aphasia. And it did write one, and it even rhymes. But it can do very advanced things as well. So that's ChatGPT, but there's lots of other very similar options through different companies. There's more than this, but these are some examples. And all of these are large language models with a chatbot attached. And that type of AI is part of a field called natural language processing. The word natural in there means normal human communication and not computer code. So the goal of this field is to get computers to understand and produce human language. But there's lots of other goals of AI. So another one is perception, where we want computers to copy human senses. So it's teaching computers to see, like images and video, and understand what they see, and to hear like people do, and understand speech and things like that. So that's also AI. If you have a doorbell camera that can understand what it's seeing, that's using AI. Some other things are social intelligence, so understanding humans. So this, we're trying to teach computers to understand emotions and thoughts and what people are really thinking, even if it's different to what they say. Another one is prediction and decision making. So getting AI to make really good decisions and categorization, and at least as well as humans, and often better than humans. Then there's generative AI, which means creating images, videos, and music. So you just tell it, please make this, and it will produce images, video, music, other things. And then if all of those are combined, maybe in the near future or maybe a few years away, we'll get general artificial intelligence. So if AI can do all of those things and do lots of things just as well as humans or even better, then that's general AI. And hopefully it's a bit kinder to us than Terminator is. So when we're talking about AI today, try to think of all of these things. It's not just one thing, it's lots of different skills. So I'm going to start with all the good possibilities, all the opportunities that AI might bring to aphasia soon. The first one is it might be helping a lot of people communicate if that's what they want. So for example, there's a lot of groups working on something to help you find the words. So if you're saying, but we don't have a, and you can't think of the word, AI can listen to the conversation and make some suggestions based on what it knows. And then you might be like, oh, it's trailer. We don't have a trailer. So for some people, that might be really useful. We can also get it to help create sentences. So someone might ask, oh, how is your daughter doing? And if you were to type in good, college, AI might expand that into a sentence. She's very well, she's at college right now, and say that for you, or you could read it out. And that's something it could do now. It's just, how do you know if it's accurate? That's already possible. Something else being played with is digital versions of people called deep fakes. So I know that I heard recently that Dr. Betsy Campbell at Penn State University helped somebody create a deep fake of themselves to give a talk. So I've got an example here, and I don't think the sound will work, but it's in Russian, so that's okay. They've taken Bruce Willis's video. Oh, we've got an ad first. They've taken Bruce Willis's video and fed it to AI. That's not Bruce Willis. It's a fake version of him. But because they have lots and lots of footage of him before he had the aphasia that he has, they were able to teach the computer to turn this guy into Bruce Willis. So I don't know if people think that's a good thing or a bad thing, but it's a possibility. And nobody wants to live their whole life as the digital version, but maybe for special presentations or videos, this might be useful. The other opportunity, at least for speech pathologists, is assessment. So in 2022, we published a review on how AI was being used in aphasia up to that point. And we found that most of the papers were looking at using AI to help with assessment. So most of these studies used some speech recordings and test data, fed it to the AI, and they tried to get it to answer questions like, does this person have aphasia? How severe is it? What type of aphasia? What errors are being made? So getting it to assess people automatically. Another option is measuring conversation. So most assessments you might have done would have used words and sentences because conversation's very hard. For conversation, you have to record it, then you have to write it all down, then you have to measure different things about the language, and then you get some results. And that takes a long time. AI can do that in one go, and we're just working on how to make it more accurate. There's already people working on this quite a lot. It also might be used to guess how much someone might recover. So, for example, perhaps someone had a stroke 3 months ago and they have aphasia, and you give it all of the information about that person. It might be able to predict fairly accurately how much recovery they'll have in 1 year or 2 years. And again, I don't know if people find that helpful or not, but that's something that it could be able to do. Another opportunity is to have better therapy and more chance to practice, even when you maybe don't have any more funding for therapy or you don't have a speech pathologist. This might provide more options for you to practice your language. So, in our review, there weren't that many studies that had looked at using AI for therapy. But my prediction is we're about to see a mountain of AI therapy options appear. Some therapy apps like Constant Therapy already use AI to adjust the difficulty. So, just like a speech pathologist, it tries to make things not too easy, not too hard, a little bit challenging. But something that could be really helpful is generating therapy material. So, it can make pictures and videos. And this is often what is used in therapy, right? Here's a picture or here's a video, describe what you see. Before, we had to pay an artist to draw things or buy stock images, but now AI can produce good images really quickly in seconds. So I've experimented with this, taking some pictures from assessments, and this is a couple of years ago, and getting it to produce photo images. But you'll see that it doesn't always go exactly to plan. So sometimes it produces some pretty strange images, and maybe you've seen some things like this on the internet. So I published that paper, which you could look at here, a summary of it, just 2 years ago. And already that's out of date because the images are a lot better in just 2 years. So I think we're going to see therapy apps that can produce more tasks for you as it goes. You don't have to wait for someone to create the task. The other thing it can do is produce text. So for some people with aphasia, words and sentences and paragraphs are too easy and they need something more challenging. AI can create long texts or have a conversations on any topic you like. So if you want to talk about, you know, yaks in China, that's your thing you like to talk about. AI will talk to you about that, and it knows a lot about lots of things. So it could be good for people with less severe aphasia. AI is also looking like it's very good at translating things, a lot better than things like Google Translate. So that means that therapy apps and materials could be available in lots of languages, even languages where maybe it's hard to find a translator. So that could open up more therapy for more people. It might also give you feedback on your speech. So there are some tools to use AI to listen to your speech when you're using an app, and they try to give you feedback. So you might say what the picture is, and it would say, that's not quite right. It starts with this sound. At the moment, all of the apps that I know can only do this with one word. They can listen to one word and tell you if that's correct or not. But perhaps soon it could listen to sentences and conversations and give you feedback. already there is a therapy option that practices conversation. So we don't have any sound today, unfortunately, but this is like a virtual coffee shop. And the guy says, what can I get for you today? And then there's a microphone, and you might practice your order. So I'll have a small, skinny latte, please. And then it listens and it thinks about it for a bit. There's a bit of a delay. And then he responds back. Whereas if you said, I don't want anything, I'm looking for the library, it would answer back appropriately. So it's a little bit closer to a human conversation, but there's not the pressure of a real person, so you can practice. So they're all the possible therapy changes we might see soon. There's also lots and lots of options for daily tools to help you. And I think Bryn's going to talk about how she uses AI. But one thing it can do is simplify text. So it can take really long, complex texts and simplify it for you. So I did an example of this. I took terms and conditions from buying a ticket for a concert, and I said, please make this simple, use some emojis, bold some words, and this is what it gave me. And this is actually really accurate. It says, no refunds or exchanges for bad weather, and then it put a little emoji in. So it could help people understand complex text. The group that I work with are also working on a website to help you self-manage aphasia, and it uses AI just in the background. So we're just testing this now, but it's a website that has information and resources for people with aphasia and also for their carers and health professionals. But all the things you wish you knew early on, we've tried to put it all in one place so that people have information there and ideas there. And AI, you can see we've got different topics: therapy, life after stroke, emotions, and social support. AI looks at a person and what they're interested in and what it knows, and it learns what's helpful. And so it makes sure that, they really need to know about these groups. It puts that groups up the top. Maybe a little bit like Amazon decides what it should show you and what it wants you to buy. This tries to show you what might be helpful. We've also built, and we're starting to test, this mood tracking app for people with aphasia. So you can record how you're feeling regularly. And we've made it so that there's very little text. So you just have to slide the slider and the face changes until it shows how you feel. And if you do this enough, the app will realize that maybe sometimes your mood's going down, and it will make some suggestions. Maybe you should do some relaxation. Maybe go to this website, try this. And for people who are really, really down and maybe getting depressed, it will offer to notify their family or friends, and they can print their mood over time and maybe take it to the doctor. So these are some examples of how AI can be used to help you day to day. Some of you have probably used these personal assistants like Siri or Alexa or Google, and they're okay, but very soon we're going to see quite amazing personal assistants. So the new ones will get to know you very well, and they'll help you based on that. So when I use ChatGPT, I've taught it that I'm a researcher and I understand, technology and code, so don't explain that to me. But I don't understand this, so explain that. So as it learns who you are, it can be much more helpful. So pretty soon we'll see options like this. So there's some of the ideas of positive things that might be coming pretty soon, but there are some challenges in making these things. And these are just a few, but the first one is speech recognition needs improvement. So it's very hard for AI to understand anyone who speaks a little bit differently. So if you are pausing a lot, it often stops listening. If you make an error and use the wrong word, or you don't finish a sentence, it gets very confused. It doesn't know what to do. And those things often happen in aphasia. Also not very good if you have slurred speech or apraxia, or even just an accent. So AI needs to learn a lot to accurately understand people with aphasia. We also need a lot more data to train AI with aphasia. So we have a database, or there is a database called Aphasia Bank with hundreds of recordings, which is just excellent. But ideally, we need thousands of recordings of people with aphasia to teach AI how to understand and how to help and all of that. So that's something, that we have to keep working on, more data. Another challenge is that pretty good AI is often not good enough. So if we build a tool and it's correct 95% of the time, that 5% that it's wrong is quite a challenge. So I've had people use apps with speech recognition, and because they have an Australian accent like me, it doesn't understand them and they get very, very annoyed. So we need to test these tools to make sure they work for people with aphasia. And we need people with aphasia to test them to really know that they work. So they were some of the challenges of building these tools. And now we just want to talk about some of the risks of AI in general and AI for aphasia. So one that you'll hear a lot is that AI does use a lot of electricity, and that can harm the environment. So that's something we need to solve. I can say that lots of the companies building AI, they don't want to pay big electricity bills. So they're looking for cheap energy, and cheap energy for them is solar and nuclear. So the Long Island nuclear power plant, which has been shut down in New York, I think, Microsoft bought that because they want nuclear energy for their AI. And nuclear energy is green energy. It doesn't produce greenhouse gases. So this is a problem, but I'm hopeful that it might be solved. Oops. Another risk is that all of the best AI right now is being built by these huge software companies. Universities aren't building them, governments aren't building them, companies. And that's a bit of a risk. Companies care about, of course, making money. And they probably care about making money more than they care about making sure everyone can access AI and that it's accessible for people with aphasia. So we need to make sure that AI is not just for businesses to make more and more money. We need to make sure it helps people. Another risk, and perhaps this is the biggest one for you, is that AI works a lot better the more it knows about you. But the more it knows about you, the more you're telling maybe Microsoft or Google all about yourself. And most AI remembers everything you tell it. So if you tell it things about yourself, it will remember that and it will train itself on that for future. Now, for some people, they decide that's fine, that's worth it. But it's important that everyone understands what information they're losing, privacy they're losing, and what's done with their information. So the tug of war between personalizing something to work for you and losing some of your privacy. Another challenge for you if you're living with aphasia and then also speech pathologists is how do you know what's good? So you're going to see more and more apps and paid services that say we use AI, but not all of them will be good. So everyone needs to look pretty closely to see what's useful, what is shown to work scientifically, and what's worth the money. So I don't know if you feel positive about AI or negative. I think there's a bit of both, but I'll tell you what I think and what I recommend for you. So I am pretty hopeful that AI can do a lot for aphasia. I think it's going to be a very good tool. It's probably going to provide a lot more chance for therapy, even if you can't access funding. And that therapy can be very personalized. You can tell it exactly what you're interested in, and it will customize itself. There'll also be just smarter tools for day-to-day life, and you can probably personalize these things for exactly what you need. So what I would suggest, you should probably try new ideas with AI really carefully. So you might hear that someone's used it for this or someone's used it for that. And I think you should experiment because you can really gain a lot. But be careful. So see if you can find out who gets your data. What happens when you are talking to AI or writing or using it? For example, you might have seen people uploading photos of themselves to ChatGPT and saying, make me into a cartoon or make me look like this. I'm pretty sure that ChatGPT keeps those images. And maybe that's okay, but you need to know that. Make sure you know how much it is, of course. Don't give your credit card because someone says they've created an amazing AI thing for aphasia until you know it's good. And see if you can find out if it's been tested with maybe science, but also tested by people with aphasia because they're the experts on what works and what's good. And I think a great question for you to ask is, did people with aphasia help make this? Because all of the best tools and all of the best options have someone with aphasia advising what it should have, what it shouldn't have. Maybe part of the design, maybe testing it. And I think more and more companies are going to be looking for people with aphasia to advise them on how to make something that's useful. So thank you for listening today. This QR will just take you to a site where I just put some of my work. This QR here actually takes you to the NAA survey about AI in aphasia, and that's open for another 3 or 4 days only. So we're just trying to learn, do people think AI is good? What do they want it to do? And it's really important that we hear, what do people with aphasia want AI for? Not just what we think will work. So yeah, consider doing that survey if you can. It's open for another few days. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Dr. Pierce. That was great. Lots of interesting and exciting information. Well, I'm very curious to see where this all takes us, in the aphasia world. There were a couple questions, so we will address those at the end. Right now, Bryn is going to share how she uses AI to help her become more independent and do some of those day-to-day tasks that have become challenging. Bryn is truly an expert at this stuff. She's taught me quite a few things. So Bryn, just make sure you unmute and you can take it away, okay?
Hello, hello, hello. Can you see? You can hear me?
Yep.
Okay. So here we go. Bryn. Okay. So I know that it's controversial with the AI and stuff. And the first time I tried it, I was like, I don't know because I just wasn't sure. But I use it seriously every day. It helps me so much. And I'll just show you why. Oh, and first of all, I do GPT, or I can't say it still, but there's a million of these, so just what you want. But that's what it looks like. So I use it, email, texting, word findings, recipes, uh, uh, gifts, ideas, And if you need something to ask a question, like what's happening with your plants and stuff, I can't say, but I'll show you in a second. Sorry. Sometimes my aphasia is sucky, but it's good. It's fine. It's fun. So here, I'll show you. So for texting and email, because my aphasia, it's hard to takes a long time to say something. So on my phone, I just picture and ask 3 things to say. So first, say, can you do 3 things to say? And then so I guess my mom said something, and it will think to talk to say, because it's like I don't know what to say. So it takes 5 minutes, picture, and then it show things 3 things to say, and you'll say, the third one, I'll do that. This happens all the time. So texting, email, it really helped. So then, and then think with aphasia, like word finding. This happens all the time, every day. And so what I do, so I see that they're like um, uh, hang on, hang on, you'll see it again. So what is this called? But you can, if you picture, they will say anything. So what I do is say aphasia, and they're like, oh, aphasia, okay. So they will say what it called, and then it's crazy. Then they will actually say, hey, do you need some more of these like this? So like, I don't know if you can read it, but like it'll say things, and they're like, you need this, and then I'll like they get more, and then it's amazing. They know aphasia, I guess. Maybe because I do it all the time. So, but and also you can hear them too. So you don't have to read it all the time. It will say it too. So anyway, they asked, and then I said, yes, we'll do some more. And then, oh, sorry. Well, I guess that's, so look, okay, you can see these. So, and you can also do the first letter, or, it's really cool. So, and then another thing, I have one hand, but I still like to cook a little bit. And I don't want to, sometimes I have like 3 things here to make dinner. I don't know what to make. I don't want to go to the store. So I do it. And so I'll say, I have 3 things. Can you make it? And they have 3 things to do. So I said, make a new uh, uh, recipe for chicken and blah blah blah, and then they will do it, and then it's like, oh, it's really cool. Same thing. The next one is you want to see like, so everyone should know, like, it's mom's uh mom's day. Sorry, I'm not, don't say it's not right, but so you can say, what should I get for my mom for Mother's Day? And I'm not going to say it because I don't know if she's watching this. I don't know. I won't say it. But so it'll say all these things. It'll say what your mom, what she want and there's so much stuff. It's so cool. Like, but I will say sometimes it's a lot of words. So even when you hear it the first time, actually my mom heard it and she was like, I love him. He's so nice. Like it's like a real person. Like she's like, oh my gosh, I love him. It doesn't look like it's like sound like a real person. Um, so how to this happens a lot too. I have a lot of, I'm trying to do plants now and it's dying. I don't know why it's dying. I got water, everything. Same thing with, on TV, let's say like, I mean, I like to do, uh, subtitles so how do you do subtitles? So instead, I'll do that. So for first, sorry, I should try you. Okay. So I have a plant, it was dying, and I already gave him water and everything. So I don't know if you first, so they actually will tell everything that you need. Like why this and that. It's really actually really cool because and then hang on, my subtitles so I can watch TV. You don't even have to say it. You can just picture on your phone, just like picture and right there, and you don't even have to do anything. Just say I want subtitles and they can see the picture and they know where the what it's called, the thing um uh your video, whatever. I'll just
The TV.
yeah, thank you. um See, I can't say it, but so like sometimes it's hard to even like talk. So I just picture and they will say it. Like so I actually do it every day. And I love it. So just try it a little bit and then uh maybe like once a day, just one thing, try it and if you like it. Because it really helps for me. Um
Okay, thanks, Bryn. That was great. And if you guys do want to learn more from Bryn, she has the name of her group that she helps to lead, Technology and Sports for Aphasia. The next one is May 13th at 4 p.m. Eastern Time. So this gives us some time now to ask questions. There is a question, I think, for Dr. Pierce. And please keep sending your questions. Again, you guys can use the Q&A box on your Zoom window there and submit any questions you might have. So Dr. Pierce, somebody asked what safeguards there are for copyrights. And they kind of followed up with saying like artists are kind of, helpless to get their work paid for in this AI world.
Yeah, that's a very good point. So maybe this is what happens when software companies create these things instead of governments and universities is they're more interested in profit and what they can do than what's fair. So a lot of these AI companies, so Facebook, OpenAI, are in a bit of trouble in the courts because to create images, they had to train themselves on millions of images. And those images were not always copyright free. So they've just taken whatever they could find and they've trained AI. And so a lot of them look exactly like artists' work, and that's not really fair. So this technology happened faster than the laws could keep up. That's why it's in the court right now. And unfortunately, yeah, I think many artists have had their work stolen for this purpose. So I basically agree. I think that they shouldn't have used those images. And it is a difficult time to be an artist because a lot of people think that AI making images is just as good, and it's not really just as good, but a lot of people think that. So unfortunately, I don't have an easy answer for that, but it is a problem.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a tough one. That's a tough
Yeah,
one.
and I know I hate that too. But
Mm.
for me, when I think it helps me, but I feel bad. But it's for me, aphasia. These are hard. It helps me, but then in a little bit in my head, I'm like, God, I hate this. But so I'm not. I'm still helping. It really helps me, but I'm not just to draw and because I know that's hard and you have to really do it. But this is for me.
Mm.
It's different. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's hard to say
No,
that because I totally get it too. So
yeah. I think there might be some options, and I don't know this, but I think there's options besides ChatGPT that might have trained a little more carefully. So maybe if that does bother people a lot, they could look at different options.
yeah.
Yeah. That's true. So there was another question. Somebody wanted to know if any of this cures the primary progressive diseases, aphasia diseases that don't seem to have much of a cure at this point.
I think a cure would be wonderful for any type of aphasia. And I mean, short answer is no, no cures yet. But we have seen AI make some incredible advances or help researchers make advances in things in other diseases and other science. So who knows if it will help scientists work faster and think faster. Yeah, maybe in the future.
If nobody else has questions, I have one. So I found the recovery prediction piece to be interesting because I always get people who ask, well, when am I going to be back to normal? Or when am I going to get better? How long is this going to take? How many sessions do I need? And I have to have that very frank conversation with them that we don't know because everybody's on a different trajectory and everybody, responds differently and it looks a bit different. And so I just question sort of, has there been any research on like the accuracy of that? I'm assuming there's been some. And could it be like a double-edged sword that if it's not accurate, it gives false hope potentially, or it could do the opposite and make somebody kind of feel defeated? Any thoughts on that?
I have a lot of thoughts on it, but I'll be interested to see what Bryn thinks of that type of technology. But there's a lot of groups working on that, and at the moment they sort of can predict roughly, but not accurately enough to start using this. So you're right. If it's like getting, if someone says you have 6 months to live, if that's wrong, that's a huge issue. But maybe it's you had less and maybe you had more, and maybe recovering from a stroke, if someone says you're going to be back to 95%, if that's wrong, that's bad because your hopes are higher than what actually happens. Or if they say you're only going to reach this, then you might not do as much rehab. So I think they're going to have to be very accurate before they're used. And even then, if someone's predicted not to improve, that will depend on how much therapy they do, probably. So yeah, I think there's lots of problems with that, but you're right. It's a question that lots of people ask. Do we want to know the answer?
Right. Sometimes it's better to not know, perhaps. I don't know.
Yeah, one time I was like 1 year post, and the doctor was like, she's not gonna do anything ever.
Oh.
And I still remember. And so you don't know. And then he says that, and I'm gonna work and work and work and until so it, no one knows. So I would say, if you're not sure, try make other people who have aphasia too, because that for me, when I had other people who had aphasia, it feels like I could do it. Like, we laugh and cry, and so for me, just don't think about what is going to happen. You don't know.
Mm,
So
mm,
um, just try to do this AI. If you hate it, then don't do it. It's
exactly.
Yeah. Yeah, well said, Bryn. Absolutely. Bryn, somebody has a question for you. They wanted to know if you use Siri or Alexa to help you with your language skills, like asking questions or making requests.
yeah, but kind of I do, because for me, I can't say it. Oh, I have to say it out loud, but I like to do subtitles at the same time. Um, but so which one are you, what you want to add? You want, I guess, because this, I can talk forever over this, but what do you want to ask? And I can say another thing to talk about, because like it's that could be anything.
Yeah. They could come to our group. I know a couple people were asking. I'll share the virtual program schedule at the end, and that's how you guys can access her group. Somebody asked too, how do you find AI conversation programs and how do you know if they're good? So, Dr. Pierce, you mentioned that, explore the good AI. How do we do that?
At the moment, they've appeared in the last, couple of years or even the last year. So unfortunately, we can't say, oh, here's a study on this, or here's a website that shows you which ones are good. So it's a little bit of experimentation, right? Some of them offer a free trial, and that's probably worth doing. You can use, if you want to practice conversation, you can do that for free with those chat models. So either ChatGPT, which you can use for free a little bit, or there's one called Google Gemini. And Gemini, if you already have a Google account or a Gmail, then you can use that. And they have a button where you can talk back and forth, and you can say, I want to practice talking in, a shop that sells this or that. So that's an easy way to do it. But finding out what's good at the moment is just trial and error, unfortunately, because it's also new.
So there was also a question on, I just lost it. Okay, so somebody wanted to know about Bryn, your technology group. What can people expect in that group, and who is it for? So I can kind of answer. It is for people with aphasia, care partners, professionals. Anybody is welcome to join, and it's a free group offered by the NAA. But do you want to tell them a little bit about what you cover in that group?
Yeah, we every we see every time different. So, and also you can say, hey, I'm gonna ask this and that, and then I'll look, I'm gonna find it for next week, month or whatever. So, but yeah, it's more like on your phone or iPad, just things to think about. Like if you want to read or write or um, AI, like we do things, it's once a month. And if you say that you want to talk about um, what, like, hang on, sorry, sometimes I can't talk, so I have to say it instead. Hang on, sorry. Like sometimes they'll ask this. Hang on, sorry. Um,
You're good, Bryn.
uh,
I'm just gonna put it in the
I
chat.
forgot. Now I all of a sudden I can't say it. Aphasia, something like that. What is this called?
Oh, AAC.
Yeah, yeah, and because aphasia and um, it's progressive. It gets worse.
PPA.
Oh, okay. No, you were right then. That was right.
Okay.
PPA. Yep.
So if you ask, you want to ask something, look at this or that. I like to look before, and then for next month, I talk about it. Um, so, but once a month, we talk about new systems that we like, and I guess, yeah.
Yeah. I think we have time for maybe one more question. A couple people were asking how they get involved with the Aphasia Bank. Do you mind just sharing a little bit more on that, Dr. Pierce?
I don't actually know. I'm not directly involved, but I don't know if Maura could speak to that or.
Sure.
Okay.
My understanding, sorry, I'm talking from behind the logo here. There we go. Hi, everybody. Yes, I saw that somebody, I think it was Josh, mentioned he was did a sample for Aphasia Bank. My mom, when she had her stroke, also did a sample. And the researchers that go out and meet with people with aphasia, a lot of times therapists will connect them with Aphasia Bank. And what it is those samples then can be used by teachers, researchers, people who are trying to understand more about how something sounds. Like, what does a person with fluent aphasia sound like? So I think it's more getting in touch with your provider and seeing if you wanted to get involved in it. They do have a website, but it is specific for the researchers. So I'll see if I can find something. And if I do, I'll put it in our recap and on our YouTube channel for where you guys can get in touch. And all of these resources that Bryn has shared and Dr. Pierce has shared, we'll put all of those on our YouTube channel under the recap of the video. So that will probably be up tomorrow. So, oh, and Kate, thank you, Kate. Appreciate that. Kate just shared with us the Aphasia Talk Bank, and I do have that. It is made for researchers. So if there's any providers that would like to get in touch with it, this is it. So
Thanks, Mara. Appreciate it.
Thanks.
Yeah, and I know there were some questions that weren't answered. Please, if you're able to, join us next week on Wednesday to do the After the Expert. Participate in that conversational group, and you can ask your questions there, and we can have more conversation about this topic. So thanks so much to Dr. Pierce and Bryn for your expertise in this topic. It was really interesting. For more information about the National Aphasia Association and to find some of the educational materials and resources that we talked about tonight, as well as providers and supports in your area, you can visit us at aphasia.org. Circling back to those virtual programs, those are scheduled throughout the month. There are a variety of topics. They are open to people with aphasia, care partners, and clinicians. You can find more information about the programs and also the Zoom links that are required to access the programs on the website at aphasia.org/events.
And I did want to take a moment to mention that the programs that say PPA, PPA Chat, PPA Care Partner, those are specific for people and their care partners who have primary progressive aphasia or primary progressive apraxia of speech. But we did not forget about you. In about 2 weeks, we're starting a care partner support group for family members of people who have aphasia from another type of brain injury. So we're not trying to leave you out, but there are little differences in our programs for primary progressive aphasia. So if you see care partner, that's just for care partners. If you see PPA, that's just for people with PPA and their families.
And we also just wanted to make sure too that we take a quick moment to thank all the donors and families for their generous support. As you know, the NAA is able to do all these wonderful programs and projects thanks to their contributions and ongoing support. So we do very much appreciate that. So just real quick, next month, just wanted to mention that we will be having a very special Ask the Expert webinar in honor of June being National Aphasia Awareness Month. It will be June 12th at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. And you will have a chance to hear from a panel of NAA ambassadors who will talk about what compels them to be an advocate for people who are living with aphasia. So that's another exciting event coming up. Again, guys, just please feel free to email the NAA with any questions you may have. We are going to be putting that certificate for professional development hours in the chat box. And then lastly, we just wanted to share a survey where that if you wouldn't mind completing it, if you can take a couple minutes, we really appreciate it. It's a survey about the webinar that you saw tonight. So thanks to everybody for spending time with us tonight, and of course to our presenters for sharing their expertise. We really appreciate you guys, and we hope to see you next time.
And I want to take a second here. That's the PDH for if you are a provider and you stayed for the whole thing, you can get some ASHA hour there. It is for an hour, not for CEU. But I also wanted to thank Brooke, who really just did a wonderful job doing this presentation and helping us moderate it. So thank you, Bryn. Thank you, Dr. Pierce, and especially thank you, Brooke, for stepping in and doing this. Thank you to all of you for coming, and we'll talk to y'all soon.
Bye, everybody.